Hey everyone, it's your pal Drew Dracy, and I plucked more random comics from my spinner rack. And this is an interesting treat I think you'll find for Doctor Strange fans, new and old if you don't have all the issues. For about between 1969 and 1973, Doctor Strange no longer had his own title. But it lasted all through the 70s, all through the 80s, and then into the 90s, and then it was finally canceled about 2000, and it was canceled for a long time. It tripped me out to think like there's no regular Doctor Strange book out. But if you don't have the top creators on him, Doctor Strange can be a hard sell because he doesn't really have a sense of humor like in the Marvel movies now. Everybody talks with a fistful of snarky words and comments, but and also the foes he fought were sort of they were you like Slugfest and stuff like that, but a lot of his foes, I mean, other than Dormammu and anyway, a handful of people, but most of them had like demons and otherworldly characters that you didn't give a shit about. I mean, it was like a slow, hushed, high stakes sort of thing, like la la da, and it just didn't suggest any excitement. I mean, and I love the character. So this is Marvel Premiere, which actually was a book that premiered new series, old ones like revivals such as this. And so he was homeless for a while there. Then he made it for like 6 to 8 issues of Marvel Premiere, and they sold and sold and sold until he got his own book. Steve Englehart and Frank Bruner were the creators. Okay, so Jim Starlin, beautiful Jim Starlin. So, now here's a real trip here. The issues for the comeback of Doctor Strange were written by Gardner Fox and penciled by Jim Starlin. How about that? Inks by Frank Giacoia and Dave Hunt. So really interesting. There's some parts I really like, and there's some parts that are kind of odd. Because at this time, Starlin was still kind of, in places, he was trying to figure out faces. I mean, he got really good at it, but I feel like this, I mean, there's a very Frank Giacoia image there. And I think, and I love Giacoia, I've sung his praises many a time, and Dave Hunt, but it's a real awkward match. It sort of looks more superhero-y, but like that bottom panel, it doesn't really look like a Doctor Strange panel. It's just too clean and, not really edgy. I'm not saying every panel has to be edgy, but I think you know what I'm saying. Really, really good stuff. Like this kind of face here, I think lost a lot of Starlin's nuance that he provides for faces, and so I like these guys. It was like two great tastes that don't taste great together. And Fox was really into doing. It was kind of he had a whole new tack for it. He really went for like the Lovecraft sort of thing and Cthulhu. He was trying to put Doctor Strange in that sort of universe, and it was laudable, but it really didn't work for whatever reason. I think it's like the Lovecraft people weren't thrilled with it. The Doctor Strange fans were not thrilled with it, and so he went back to being doing what he does best with Dormammu and the others. So really, really fun stuff. I'm not going to show you the last page. I don't want any 45-year-old spoilers. And actually, it's 50-year spoilers. Yeesh. Alpha Flight. Well, this was the era where Byrne was firing on all cylinders as a solo creator. I mean, for me, his very best stuff was in the mid to late 70s when he worked with Claremont, he worked with others, and of course, X-Men and stuff like that. But I loved his Fantastic Four, and I was on board for this big time. Marvel Team Up, Claremont and Byrne did. Did I say that already? Don't matter. Okay, One Side Superheroes, a job only we can handle. That's just a great cover. And beautiful splash page. There's parts where Byrne knows how to frame something without it being I don't know. I can't quite describe it. He knows how to frame figures in comic books. And now, as cool as this is, it is a double-sized issue. You'll see like just figures and no backgrounds in a lot of these pages. It's a double-sized issue, so I think he had in mind that, you know, to basically do it at the same speed as he would do a monthly book. So that meant a lot of free area there. But I mean, it was still great. And yeah, we see this is excellent. I love this scene. We get introduced to North Star and Aurora, and it gives you a lot of background that you don't know. Like Aurora has a split personality. It's like her other one's very bookwormish and proper. But when Aurora comes out, she's like wild with joie de vivre, or however they say it in French. She's like overtly sexual and such. So there's something going on. Shouldn't you at least contact the rest of Alpha Flight? Heather, there is no Alpha Flight. There was a situation that they failed in some mission early on that soured them on the idea of staying as a team. They said, well, you know, we should maybe reconsider how we handle things from now on. Well, Heather, who is a guardian slash vindicator, his wife, and she decides, well, I'm going to contact the others. So, and this guy here, Eugene Milton Judd, he is a dwarf, and he's as wide as he is tall. He's just a bruiser. It's interesting as Byrne went for, I mean, Wolverine became like 5 foot tall, and he was vicious, you know. So I think Byrne just wanted to go one step further and have a shorter guy. And there's this pinging noise, which is the call at last. And he's also like an acrobat as well. And then you're like, well, compared to these people, like, is he going to be able to pull his weight? And see, these are easy pages. Don't tell anybody. Beautiful there, Tundra. Really, really cool stuff. His ink, you know, I never really had a problem with his inking. I did when he did, decades later, when he did Wonder Woman. Oof, worst inking. See, that's like maybe a 2-hour page. Here comes Shaman. And they've all appeared in that X-Men 2-parter they were in. Excellent storytelling. Out of the helicopter comes Sasquatch. And these insets show you where he is as he's trying to rip out pieces of tundra. And, you know, they get all together. They get all this stone and water, and they basically soak them down. I love that kind of stuff. I love doing, like, textures of that kind. Hey, there's Norm Macdonald. Actually, Norm wasn't a big name until many years later. And he's like, don't tell me you got Heather's call too. Why not? I was ready for the first team, wasn't I? And he's like, we'll have to decide a new name for the group. I want to be an Alpha Flight. So he starts a little shit. That Sasquatch starting shit with him. Mascot. And you get that type situation. Well, Justice Inc. only lasted 4 issues in around 74, 75. Great Joe Kubert cover. Out of your mind. Great. Or eye-popping. That's a better word. Yeah. Well, but the inside is Kirby. The first issue had a different artist. I can't remember exactly who it was. But Kirby did a few of these issues. And I had 1 or 2 of it. His then new Kirby stuff kind of creeped me out because people would talk. They didn't talk so much as they would yell at each other. That's just the way he, very bombastic. Smush. The Avenger supposedly has dead cells on his face, and he could like mush them like silly putty into another person's face if he has photo reference or something. Start dog-earing these friggers so I can open them up. Okay, well, see, he's getting the features, mush. But like I said, he gets smushed back. What's weird is this is one of those things I really think Kirby was just like at the end of the road with DC. He knew Marvel was on the horizon, so he even allowed Danny O'Neill and other people to write the stories. He just wanted he was fulfilling a contract. It's still fun. It's still great fun. But like, that's the last panel there. And it's not like a big splash panel. And it just ends. And there's no later issue. So very, very odd. But, it's fun. That's not even my favorite issue. But now, how about this? Kind of a John Byrne thing that Al Milgram's going for. And it works. It's really, really cool. Now you're going to say to yourself, Al Milgram, I don't know. Well, granted, he's wildly, wildly inconsistent. But I got to give it up to him on this. It's really good. This is like the ending of a 5-parter that started off with the Owl, Daredevil's foe, the Owl, fighting Dr. Octopus, and they call it the Owl-Octopus War. And you know what? That's something Bill Manilow would come up with, because it's just great. And Jim Mooney is inking, and I like that better, because sometimes Owl did some really great stuff in Ron Frenz's Thor in the mid-90s. So that's just a beautiful pose. And Jim Mooney, he inked Spider-Man on and off forever. And so he's perfect to match up with the storytelling skills. So what happened is, the previous issue, there was this build up that he was going to go and kill the Black Cat, who got hospitalized from him a couple issues earlier, and she's like teetering on the brink of death or life, or barely there, and Spider-Man's thrown everything at Dr. Octopus, who he considers his deadliest enemy. And I'll be damned if Doc Ock doesn't prove it in this issue. Just really, really great stuff. And I love the oblong body of Dr. Octopus, because in the early 70s they made everybody with a super build, whether it's Fantastic Four or whatever. Slides on in. How about this? They're in a hospital, the hospital. All right, the kids' gloves are off. Let's see what you're really made of. That's brilliant stuff. That's so cool. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I was getting Peter Parker at the time. I started with Ed Hannigan, like a lot of people did. The poses are great. It's like Al's really going out of his way to convey immediacy, panic, high sense of stakes, and the two of them are working great on this. Well, he slowed down the cable car elevator. So he just keeps crashing through the building with him, and Spider-Man has to get out, so he's room to maneuver. And there is Jean DeWolf, who is she heads a police force. This is cool. They're taking Black Cat. She's like, I want to help Spidey. Like, poor kid, she doesn't know. His man's laid it on the line for her. Don't worry, Spider-Man. I won't make promises I can't keep, but I'll take care of the cat. You'll have to, Captain, because I may not be around much longer. He's like, she escapes me. Does the old brick thing that he did in issue 89 or 90 that killed Captain Stacy, but this time Spider-Man stopped him. And he takes off again. Okay, Captain Jean DeWolf puts on the police lights, and he gets his attention, and she's escorting the EMT workers. You know what I'm saying. And this is a killer scene. Okay, he's getting closer and closer, and Jean DeWolf, she spins that car around. I love that. And the wheels in the air. I mean, that's a really, really great pose. Really cool. And this is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man Dr. Octopus fights. I mean, I'd put this up with a lot of the earlier stuff, because there's so much love for the character. And when he's done right, Doc Ock could be really, really scary as shit. So he crashes a car, but it did delay him long enough. Lands on the tracks. Spider-Man's looking for him, but then he's greeted by a boxcar. And just keeps going and going. Throws him on a train, but he yanks. I love it. He yanks the tentacles. Here comes a train. Wow. There's a lot of elements in this story that make you realize that a lot of there's a lot of people who didn't have a lot of imagination as to how powerful Doc Ock could be. Not just grappling with people, but and knocking stuff down. Spider-Man's up on this. He's up on this unfinished building, and he's like, you know. He's like, come and get me, come and get me. You know, your arms can't operate at full strength when they're stretched this far. Perhaps I can't, but I'll still possess sufficient strength to crush you lifeless. Dum-dum-dum-dum. Clamps him with a couple of I-beams. No! And Doc Ock is stubborn. He takes it down, and he nearly kills himself. And Spider-Man, being the good guy he is, saves his worthless ass. Crash. Here we go. It's over, Octopus, and I've won again. No, just need a little time to rest and recover. I'll beat you yet. You can have all the time you want. You can regain your strength and even increase your power, but you'll never beat me. Never. You were lucky this time. Fortune smiled upon you. Get real. Lucky had nothing to do with it. It's time you face the truth. I beat you despite the fact that you're the most deadliest, most dangerous foe I've ever faced. Despite the fact that you are at the height of your power, I'll always beat you. You'll never win. Ever. Love it, love it, love it. I mean, years later, he brought Doc Ock back, and he met some shrink that kind of gave him the, impetus to gave him the will to I can take him on again. But for me, if they never brought back Doc Ock after this, I would have thought it was cool. But, you gotta, there's other future creators who are like, I want to do this great Steve Ditko character. So, but at the time, Marvel was sensible enough to go a good while before bringing him back. Okay, Codename Danger. This was an indie book by Lodestone, I believe. Is it Lodestone? I don't know. There's a couple of indie books that did pretty well. Paul Smith cover, and look at that robot. And you don't think robots when you see Paul Smith. Even put his name on there. Well, what happened was this publisher, they were poaching some of the top talent with high page rates. That's sort of like what Atlas Comics did, and it was their folly also, except instead of being stuck with corrupt distribution in the 70s, this was more of it was a direct market book, so it only went by how many issues you could sell, and maybe a few more. You got some... I don't know who Brian Marshall is, but Robert Loren Fleming did Ambush Bug with Keith Giffen for Forever. Pencils by Paul Smith and inked by Rich Buckler, which is really interesting. And Patey colors, that is Dave Cockrum's wife, widow. Her name is Patty, but she, for some reason, one day she got a note sent to her that called her Patey, and that stuck. John Workman on the letters. Super great stuff here. I just never thought of Buckler inking anybody else. I'd frankly forgotten about that. How about that? All in perspective, but not stodgy. When he came on the scene with that one fill-in issue of Iron Man, right away I took notice of him. Oh, Codename Danger is like Mission Impossible with superheroes. They have different... dozens of superheroes that they're called on to do specific problems. They handle certain assignments. So, what a face. I love that. So this guy, he has it in for the... He has it in for Danger Inc. And he is taking on this giant robot. He slingshots an acid pellet or something like that. Scoops all the way down. It's just really, really exciting stuff. He basically, it's like Die Hard before Die Hard. Beautiful. And what's weird is every issue has a different artist. I guess because they wanted to keep they wanted to get the name in the trade paper. There were trades like the Comics Journal and let me see, Comics Buyer's Guide, and then there were a lot of fanzine books that came out as well. And Marvel also had Marvel Age, but that has nothing. Marvel Age has nothing to do with that. But this was something that was pretty hyped because I mean, Paul Smith, when he came right off of X-Men, I think my timeline may be effed up. But Doctor Strange, he had established himself beyond that Iron Man one shot. So I'm sorry, Garrison, but your debt's paid in full. Don't leave me to bleed to death. Of course. So he's basically stuck in that suit. You know what that reminds me of? I mean, I love that ending. That's awesome. But back in Tales to Astonish, the first two issues that Steve Ditko drew when the Hulk became a second feature in Tales to Astonish, where Giant Man was the other one, he fought this a robot like this, but Dr. Banner created it, and then some spy came in the back. There was like this hatch that just opened up with like no problem whatsoever, and he was giving Hulk a hard time, and he fell at the end of the battle. He fell down in this bottomless pit. I always thought it'd be cool if they ever caught up with him, or if somebody knew of that armor and went down there, and then you just have like a smelly, just nasty, busted up skeleton inside, and then somebody takes it over. And so that's all. I just wanted to point that out. It's important. It's important enough. I don't think it has any bearing on this. I just think both are a great idea. Well, that's it for now, everybody. I've gone past 20 minutes. I know, I'm such a nudnik. All right, everybody, enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like it, please hit like and subscribe. Write in the comments below if you find something I'd be corrected on. I'll delete any comments. If you can hit like, please, and if you have a fan who's into this sort of thing, please share, because it'll help. I'm really happy with the high numbers that I'm getting on views. I'm getting like consistently between like 300 and 600 views, and time will come and all, but it's a lot stronger than my other channel was. That's all. Now I'm done blathering. Have a good day.